When we were looking at this, we've actually responded to the challenge that we were given by proposing two strategies. One of those strategies is a network of subway farming hubs, which we're going to be explaining to you, and the other one is also a potential city farm, potential for a city farm that we've identified as well. So I'm going to come back to them. But first of all, when we were sort of tackling this problem or unpacking this problem, there were really three key issues that we really wanted to bring into this discussion based on our kind of experience of talking to people in Coventry, walking around Coventry and understanding a little bit of the context. One of them was food poverty and addressing issues of food poverty. Linked to kind of some of these facts that we found here about decreasing food consumption and things like that. Food education. My previous job actually was as a secondary school teacher, so I'm very familiar with that challenge. Groups in the city, such as the student groups and the growing university, size of the university and the groups of students here, and as an increasingly international population, those migrant communities that have come here over the years, and the historic population of Coventry. And there's just little moments when there are kind of tension and trying to bring those groups together and build resilient connections between those groups. So that was our starting point that we really wanted to kind of tackle with this challenge. So food has been, when we kind of think about food, it's been one of the closest allies in the development of culture. In the production and consumption of food, close and strong linkages between the environment, communities, and individuals has been constructed. So we really do feel that actually food could be the key solution to actually solving a lot of these challenges, and there's a real opportunity there that we can capitalise on. So this project works on the basis that Coventry, City of Culture, which is coming 2021, can use the principles of agroecology to contribute to building community resilience here in Coventry. It can work towards Coventry's food sovereignty, in line with the amazing food charter that you guys have, and demonstrate sustainability actually happening in the city as well. Okay, I have done that bit, so move on. Okay, can we get the next slide? Great. So we've got a map of Coventry here, and when we started looking at Coventry, in our group we kind of had a whole group of sort of designers and architects, so we're sort of very much looking to respond to this challenge through a spatial mode. So we're looking at Coventry, and we really felt like with the kind of concentric organisation of the city and the ring road, that actually there were many sort of missed opportunities that could be further used here. The bits that we identified as being really interesting, especially as we were kind of sort of living near the ring road and every day kind of coming across this ring road and back out again, is that you've got several of these really interesting subway crossing points. And we thought, that's interesting. There's land here, and there's also this heavy footfall of people moving across this space, people from many different backgrounds continuously moving across this space. And we saw this as offering a real potential for it's almost like waiting for something to happen in these spaces. So what we've proposed is a program that will reactivate these spaces. So we've got some images down here that you can kind of just about make out at the moment that there's not a huge amount going on. Generally they've been landscaped, but sort of landscaped in a way to kind of keep people off them and away from them. And we'd say maybe we can kind of challenge that rhetoric and really bring people and start to activate these spaces with programs of activities that can kind of start with the City of Culture. So we're seeking to activate these walkway sites in and around the ring road, which also kind of provides a nice network around the city. And obviously, you've already got all of these groups passing through this space on a daily basis. They offer opportunities for food education in them as people are there, local appropriation of land, and offering opportunities for intercultural knowledge exchange. We can create the spaces in which people can come together, talk, interact with one another. Then we can kind of bring out all of that intercultural knowledge that's already latently there in the city. We just need to provide the space for it to happen. Okay, so once when we kind of went and started to kind of hunt around these sites, we did find that there's a significant amount of space in these sites, and there is high footfall. So we can do an illustration of what one of these sites possibly look like. There's high footfall that's already there, and also because a lot of these sites, they're both connected to the city centre and the communities around, they offer a really nice opportunity to draw in those local communities at each location. Can someone tell me how much time we've got left?
We've got 9 minutes left.
Oh, okay, perfect. There's also, you see on the illustration as well, that because they're already very three-dimensional spaces, those vertical surfaces offer lots of opportunities. So we were thinking about actually these subways underneath. They would be really great spaces too. We could invite artists in, commission artists to produce artworks related to food education in the city. Using these vertical surfaces, we thought about having vertical surfaces to ask passers-by to do things like vote on the things that they'd like to see happening or growing in the garden. I always really love the idea of doing like open nighttime cinema stuff as well. So lots of opportunity to interact with this space, they're not just blank empty sites. Okay, so the other aspect of our proposal that I mentioned earlier was this idea of a city farm or a farm hub. So this is the other site that we've been looking at, and it is number 2 up there. It's a site that has actually been used as a city hub. As a city farm before, and was linked to primary school, St Mary's and St Benedict. It's a primary school. I believe it's a primary school. And it was running up until 2008. We're not entirely sure about the reasons for why it stopped, but we know that another school, they lost their farm because they struggled to sort of justify the funds to having someone employed to look after that space. And I think part of that is how you link it with the school curriculum. In the last school that I was working in, we were using a garden space quite intensively for the science curriculum actually, but also you've got opportunity in food education, physical education, and just general sustainability in the school as well. So what we're talking about is, as these two sites are right next door, building a really strong link between this farm and the primary school, opportunities for the children to come in and use that as an educational space for many different parts of their curriculum. But then also looking at how could this farm, and I think this might be where it kind of relates to you sort of doing the food for the university, this idea of kind of food networks and sourcing. Could we start to explore through that relationship how a farm might be able to feed the catering facilities at that primary school just by kind of one link? Start to answer questions of how much food can we produce from this space from that would sustain a primary school. And what happens when you get kids growing their own food for their school meals? I think that pretty much covers that. Can we get the next slide? Okay, and then this just demonstrates this idea of actually having several inputs into bringing people into the site. So actually, can we get people to decide to vote on what they'd really like to see happening and growing on the site? And using these subway tunnels again to kind of invite people in, can we get people to sort of come and learn to grow in the sites? Also, one of the Sophia in a moment is going to talk about our stakeholders that we've identified, because obviously it's such a project would involve money, and actually what we've talked about is possibly setting up a pilot project on one of the subway sites and then extending that. But actually interesting, what we found was, especially with Carol's help, that there are loads of little pots of money out there, not only pots of money but pots of resources as well, and tools and materials that can be used for these. And so also sort of in terms of the link with the university, one of the things that we felt like we really wanted to bring in was actually how can we make best use of farming on these sites. So there's loads of really interesting work that's been done through universities about around agriculture and coordinate stuff to do with, how can we actually activate these sites? Is it possible? I probably shouldn't say it's possible. Certainly it is possible to transform these subway sites and these bits of land into fruitful farming spaces. But what's the best techniques to use for that? And then inviting in, so kind of actually training people, inviting us to come and learn how to grow in these spaces as well. And then one of the things that Carol mentioned to us the other day is that, like, the Department of Work and Pensions, often with sort of people that are out of work, happy to sort of, there's pots of money there to actually, when there's training involved, to help those people back into work. So we know that the resources are out there. It's just drawing those links together and putting them in the right order. So I'm going to hand over to Sophia now, who's going to talk to us a little bit about stakeholders.
Yes, so with the help of Carol, as Imogen said, we've built this map of potential actors we see involved in this type of project. And the arrows you can see, they mean in the color, they are from public sector, educational partnerships, third sector partnerships, or commercial partnerships. And our key partners will be the three entities involved in City of Culture, so Warwick University, Coventry City Council, and the Coventry University. And well, we have identified, of course, the educational ones more focused on the side of the school and having all these people trained. But especially we found some entities here in Coventry that might be interested in promoting this kind of space, particularly this group, the Sirenians. They work with homeless and they work with university students, two of the key actors we want to focus, and especially because homeless are the people right now occupying the most these tunnel hubs. So they, create an interaction between these two groups and pushing that forward. But nevertheless, we found other entities such as Voluntary Action and the POD that could also be working as a partner. And how much time do we have?
We've got 2 minutes.
Done, so the next one. And then we built this kind of organizing scheme by phases, and we did not have enough time to run exactly the numbers, but we did have some sort of an approximate, and you can see in the budget side of it. And in these 3 phases from our project, planning, partnership, and resource promotion, and execution and activities, we worked a schedule that would fit with the City of Culture, especially to think if we can find some funding through that event. So I think I will wrap up, leave it there, because I don't have much time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm Imogen. I'm doing my PhD at University of Groningen in the Netherlands. Is that what I need to say?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I am Mimi. I'm doing my PhD in Ghent University and Ilbo Center in Belgium. I'm an architect, that's her, so we are the special team, I guess. All together, we came together like by randomness. So.
I am Sophia. I'm doing my PhD here at CORE, and I'm working with waterways, and I'm a historian, so I'm like the add-up to this.
I'm Maria, I'm based in the Netherlands, I'm doing my PhD at the ROEG and the Ministry of Infrastructure, and I'm an urban planner.
And we have Talita, who's not here, and she's also an architect, and she works in Munich doing her PhD.
But we sent her to the middle states,
Abu
state, Abu Dhabi, to get some funding for her projects. She will come back with some money later. So that's our team.
She really is good in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, she's in Abu Dhabi. Hopefully getting money.
Before we go to the question, I want to welcome Faye Abbott. She's a councillor and also a member of the executive, and the chair of Feeding Coventry, and she's here as a member of the council.
Sorry,
No worries. And questions from the panel? Are you okay starting now, or do you want to sit along here?
Well, first of all, congratulations. It was a great presentation. You opened it up pretty well. you sort of explained quite clearly the 3 areas you wanted to cover, which I think you did. We could make this several hours. From conversations we've had in other meetings, I could just see how this could escalate. I love the idea of the subway crossing points because it could create ownership for districts and areas. And then when you spoke about your partnerships or stakeholders, I'm thinking straight away, you can get partnership stakeholders to own those subway crossing points to support. So there's probably your funding resolved. So I thought it was a really good idea. Funding, I think these sort of projects, I don't think it's ever going to be a real barrier. I love the idea of it. Yes, there would be barriers to cross. More probably behavioural barriers than anything else. But maybe that's what brings the community together, because you started off saying that food is the solution. And I absolutely agree with that. Feeding Coventry is so important, and often it's hunger that drives bad behaviour. So I think it's a really good point. So love the illustrations, the way you did that. And I really like, there might be more comments in why, but I want to share this. I just like the concept of it. It's really, really good. Some really good ideas. Small barriers, big ideas, big opportunity. It's a really good. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. It's a really, really compelling image, really compelling idea, as probably a lot of people on the panel walk through a subway or many subways every single day. They're pretty grey, they're pretty dull, and they are an asset that we're not using in terms of land, in terms of space. In terms of a question, I was thinking, you mentioned some key stakeholders, you mentioned different people you might bring together to make this happen. Have you had a thought around how you might sell it to those people? So I'm thinking the council, the university, what's in it for them if we invest some time, some resource, and change the use of that land along the lines of your project?
Okay, well, I'm gonna address the private ones. Like, for example, there are this bunch of companies that have this protocol of social responsible companies. So then if we were to join, we were talking to Carol, like Land Rover or IKEA, to say, okay, you can bring your whole department or your whole employees, get them here to be trained to grow something. It really speaks a lot about the companies to say we are being socially responsible, we're growing our own food, we're providing something back to the community, and at the same time we're getting like this advertising of, yeah, we're doing something. Yeah, that would be for the sense of private companies. I guess that we go to schools and...
Yeah, for the schools, I think it's really important to have this connection with food, to teach children, since they are small, how to grow and where their food comes from. So it's the educational part that we are aiming at.
I think that's on the schools front, like from my experience in education, is that in schools like we are so strapped for resources and time, and the most effective in the schools that I've taught, and the most effective projects that we've over a sustained period of time have been able to work with have actually required very little from us as teachers and as a school, and so they've kind of already got themselves organised to then kind of bolt themselves on to the school in a way, and so actually, and I think that was, when we're talking about having these key partners, actually having key partners that are there so that it doesn't then fall on the responsibility of the school, because schools are so often looking for exciting things to do with their kids. We don't want to keep the kids in classrooms just working in notebooks, but it's the fact that, like, can we do that without completely exhausting ourselves because we're already so strapped for resources. So I think, if you can hit that point, then I think the schools will be really engaged. The school will be really engaged.
And as for the city council, I think it exists to support us. Coventry is a city that relies more on food banks. There is a lot of food poverty. There is a lot of issues that need to be tackled, and we're bringing a solution. So I think it's a very appealing idea for like all the stakeholders that we mentioned.
Thank you very much. I thought that was really engaging, really lovely to see, and I really love the visual aspect of this to really bring it to life as well. I liked that there is the word activate the sites, like this idea that the sites at the moment are dormant, and what we're doing is actually bringing them to life. I love that idea and the app in terms of choosing what people want to grow as well, almost in a democratic way. I thought that was lovely. My question in some ways follows on from that, and it's to do with stakeholders and looking at university students as a stakeholder. We have 31,000 students at Coventry University who are in some ways a great help, a great source of resource and a great opportunity, but also fall into the education side of things. How do we also educate those students as well as using them or using their wealth of experience and knowledge? So it's kind of two sides, that they're a stakeholder with maybe dual roles. So I was just wondering whether you had any thoughts about how to get the students involved.
Well, we were discussing also this with Carol, and like there's some, at least where I come from Mexico, there is this part in your curricula. It doesn't matter if you're like high school, secondary, or bachelor student. You have to contribute at a certain point with society with 1,000 hours of social work. So okay, they will still get credits to give back to the community by going to these centers. They will be trained, they will be taught how to grow whatever they choose to grow. And at the same time, they will be receiving some sort of reward in credit-wise. So yeah, it will be not on a volunteer basis, because they have the option to choose what to do. This will be an option for them to say, okay, I would like to go to this subway house to help to grow certain stuff. But then this is a way that we could actually get into their interest and say, okay, well, I can do that. I guess it's tackling the curricula would be a way to get to them. I don't know.
I think also we build on participative approaches, so getting people to choose what they want to grow, getting people to choose how they want to be involved is the first step, and also using these tunnels as outlets for artists can also be appealing for a certain range of age that university students fall onto. So that would be another way to get their attention.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions, comments? Yes.
Thanks, brilliant presentation. Loads of things to consider there, and I think the people in the room are the people that could take it forward. We've got two questions. One is a kind of, is how would we, and I like your phrase, fruitful farming spaces, how would we go about making those farming spaces actually produce enough food that would be used? So how could we maximise that? Have you thought about that?
There comes, I think, the partnership between the two spaces, the tunnel hubs and the farm. Like, I think each of them by itself wouldn't be enough to be tempting, but if you combine them as place for training, also place for production and so on, I think when they work together, they work better than if they were only just the farm or just the hubs, because there is not enough, as you said, production to be like actually being relevant. And
I think it's also looking at these sites, especially the subway sites, as partly in response to the last question as well, like, you know, as case study sites as well. So it's farming a slightly unusual bit of land, and you know, talked before about bringing in the university. One of the relationships with the university actually using that land as research, and the aspect of agroecology, which, you know, it's about knowledge sharing. So those people that are actually working in that space and building that knowledge of kind of working in that space, and what, you know, how does this, you know, when you put particular types of plants within this unusual space, what happens? Exchanging that knowledge with people doing work here at Coventry University, or maybe Warwick University, to build this knowledge base up slowly about how can we make these the most fruitful farming spaces that they can be. Yeah, I guess we don't actually, none of us in our group are from a farming background, so we don't know. There's a limit to how much we can say that we'll be grown up, for sure, but yeah.
But there was already an idea when we started planning the strategy that we would do like this certain type of demographic analysis around the hub. So we'll say, okay, maybe this hub right there is nearby a community of migrants that are, I don't know, Moroccans or Syrians or, I don't know, other group.
Yeah.
And they have a very specific type of food that they already eat and they already grow, and they have this indigenous or local knowledge that they could actually be put into action in this hub. So then it will be very nice that that part of Coventry, okay, so we already know there's a Mexican community there and they're growing a bunch of chilies.
Yeah.
So then if you live in the other side of the country, you are really forcing the people or incentivate them to displace and go to the other neighborhood that maybe not they don't visit in other point in their lives. So the food is there, you're really pushing them to go and then they interact and from that you get more knowledge to grow more and what they already know. So maybe on the other side we have Brazilians that they are growing, I don't know, a very delicious food. So then they have already a knowledge there, and that would be the idea that we can also trigger that local knowledge from the people that is living around. That would be a way. The other way would be that we really need to link university knowledge, and then we can also bring us like the insight of agroecology that we are also lacking. Because yeah, at some point these people have knowledge, but how much you can really get from there. So then we are going to get people there to help them, to train them to get the most of what they know. And that helps. Yeah.
Thank you. How are we doing with time?
Okay, we've got 4 minutes left, so.
Yes.
Okay, so you come back when the City of Culture is happening. What would be the best thing that you could experience here in relation to your vision?
Okay, it depends on each of us, okay?
How aspirational can you get? To come back in the Coventry City of Culture, I would really love to see one of these sites in the process of transformation, many different groups from different backgrounds getting involved, but also a diversity of activities happening on those sites, because I do think that farming is a niche interest. And it's, just asking people to come and grow isn't necessarily the direct answer, but I think actually the activities that you have around farming will actually be the gateways into bringing people in, yeah.
I really imagine more like, maybe in a more concrete way. Like already the hub growing, they're already growing something, there are already some paints on the tunnels. I would like to see the grumpy guy that never leaves his house or his radius to be there interacting with this Chinese student or with this hipster guy and teaching him like, oh, we are growing some carrots and we're growing some potatoes here. I would really love to see that because, I mean, there is segregation that says it. There are people separated, the groups are really separated, and I think that this is a perfect opportunity to get them together. And it's gratis, it's free. So like in this term you can really go and grow and get something. So for me it'll be like really nice to see them together. Like the old guy and the young guy bridging the gap between them. That would be cool.
Yeah, I will pretty much go with Mimi's part, but I don't know if by 2021 we will have the hub, but maybe in constructing it or somehow getting people involved, actually involved into going and making it with their own hands, making it with their own ideas. That will be my goal for 2021, like actually having people getting involved with the project.
Thank you.
Yeah, and mine would be related to the city farm to reactivate it and build a partnership with the school that's next door and maybe also with the hospital or other institutions around it, and especially in terms of education, to build this partnership with the school. And we found one stakeholder that also provides educational kits for free, and they are also, because you were mentioning about the curriculum, so they are also matched with the curriculum for secondary school, I think, yes, and primary school.
We've got time for one question from the floor.
I like the spatial design very much, or the visualization, and also the linking with Coventry as cultural city. It reminds me a bit of the experience in the Netherlands with the Leeuwarden as a cultural city. Yeah? But being a farmer's daughter, I also have a practical question. How suitable are these subway hubs for agriculture in terms of, I'm thinking of soil quality, light, air pollution, all these practical conditions for agriculture. Have you thought of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did. Part of the strategy, which you didn't see in the program, I guess, is like we first will do like an analysis or a diagnosis of the land or the floor of the hub. We will require some help from the university to help us to diagnose it. But from the parts that we were talking to Carol, and we said like, okay, the hub might have a problem if we don't get enough sunlight because how it is. But fortunately, there are not enough high buildings there, so we are covered with the sunlight.
Yeah, we were quite surprised actually by how much sunlight was
We checked that, and the metals and the thing where we were gonna tackle it by using
Raised beds.
spreads. So in case that and so these beds, in case that we really cannot fully use what is already there of soil, the beds just really tackle that problem immediately. So yeah, we did think about it. We allocated money for that diagnosis and for adequating the place to be able to grow.
Yeah,
So
and air quality in terms of the
Yeah.
transport.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and I wonder, I don't know whether, can I bounce this over to are there parts that can, filter air or,
Well, there is a deposition of pollutants from the air on plants. I know that there is research ongoing to check what type of pollutants get picked up by what kind of plants. But I think that even if you were just using that as a training for agriculture, cultivating flowers, for example, I think it still holds the potential to bring the community together and to do training around farming, and that could be then shared and mobilized in other contexts. I mean, I think you can still grow some edibles. You would have to do much more research on these aspects, I think. These are really peculiar spaces around really trafficky roads. But even just the education and the artists involved in the tunnels and to revive those spaces and using those for sharing knowledge around food growing, I think is brilliant. So you could have greenhouses. So I know they love greenhouses. And, okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Great.